Well, everybody, welcome back to the Trig Podcast. Joy Goes TV on this beautiful, what is today? Thursday, October 23rd. There is your boxing bell. By the way, I got two new sounds. That one, my favorite, and then also this one. You know, because sometimes I don't, but other people say dumb things. And then we can give them this one.
Stupid.
Right? It's not so nice. My boxing bell sounds a little too high for me, so I may have to find another one or bring it down a little bit. But talking today about what makes a man truly happy, and it's not sex, money, and power. What makes a man truly happy? I wonder what you think. If you're a man, if you're a woman, if you're married, if you have sons, or obviously a bunch of guys, your boss, whoever it may be, your son, your brother. What makes a man truly happy? Now, if you're a woman, you may think you know, but I have a surprise for you. It's not what you think. But before I get into that, let's see. Today, let me go through to my Noticias del Día. No, that's not it. Yeah, there you go. That's my Noticias, means the news of the day, music. So today, I had a great day. I was, getting ready primarily for Sunday. We have a big Sunday at church. It's Reformation Sunday, so getting all the little ducks lined up. I think they're mostly lined up, but I'm sure there's going to be a few that are going to run out of line and going to have to get them back in shape. And then thinking ahead to next week, and then even some Christmas stuff. Can you believe it? Even some Easter stuff. Yes, sir. Can you believe that? Do I have a wow? Wow. I don't even have a wow. Man, I got to get some more stuff here. I got to get a wow. I don't have a wow, do I? No, I don't. I guess I have yay. That's pretty good. But I need a wow. Like, man, that is awesome. So that has been great to work on some Christmas stuff. And as well as, yes, some Easter stuff. I was working on not only that, but here's something I'm really excited about that I was working on. I was working on a project called When Night Falls. It's for Easter next year, for Good Friday. And it's like a movie, not a musical, but like a worship experience. How about that? Excuse me. Of a couple songs that I've written with some verses and some, I don't know about acting. I'm not much into acting. Maybe there's someone who could write a script. But it's along those lines from a song that I wrote called Night Falls. And then this one's called When Night Falls. And so I went online and with ChatGPT, my dear friend, which I love, give it up for Chat. We wrote a script, not a script, but a layout of the night, and I really like it. I think it'll be very helpful and a lot of good stuff in there. What else? Let's see, what else? I talked to a friend in Espanol today, so that was always fun to work with, or to talk to one of my co-workers in Spanish. Always fun to practice for him and for me. Yeah, just to speak Spanish. Someone came by and was like, hey, I didn't know that was Evan who speaks Spanish. Like, yeah, I'm not the only Spanish speaker in the world. Let's see, what else? I played the piano a little bit today with the kids' choir and was trying to read some music, which is not my strength, but I can hack enough my way through it. And yeah, came home and doing this podcast, took a shower. I'm going to work out here in a second. I'm in my garage, as always, here in my garage, and I am going to box. There we go. Love my boxing. Actually, no, I boxed last night. Today I'm going to lift some weights, and I'm going to do some yoga. So a little bit of dreamy land. We're going to do some yoga later tonight, so I'm excited for that. I love me some yoga. When I was in Colorado, I did a lot of yoga just because it was such a peaceful thing to do. Really enjoyed it. Well, let's get into the content, my dear friends. So today, as I said, we're talking about what makes a man truly happy beyond sex, money, and power, sex, drugs, and rock and roll, as they say. Not that those things can't make a man distracted or can't maybe make a man temporarily happy, but I'm talking about long-term happiness and joy. I always go back to the Bible, of course, where Adam and Eve, not Adam and Steve, Adam and Eve, God told Adam to go and basically conquer the earth and multiply, take over and have babies so that they can take over with you. And then, of course, the passage in Matthew 28 where Jesus tells the 12 disciples, go and make disciples of all nations. So there's this sense of purpose and going. And then Matthew 5, Matthew 6 specifically, where Jesus says that the true measure of happiness is to seek first, so there's a priority here, the kingdom of God. And then second, all the rest, not that make that now your priority, but all that will come as a result of number one. I remember a long time ago, I was mentoring or just talking to one of my staff members about her son, who was, I think, 11 or 12 at the time, and how he was kind of playing video games and not being too active and not getting good grades. And I was saying to her, I said, what he needs is purpose. He needs to find his purpose in life. That's what makes a man successful. When I was a young man in my, 14, 15, 16, in my teens, early teens, and then into high school and eventually college and all, God provided great stuff for me. Job and a beautiful wife and a house and all these things, car and fitness. But none of that was my ambition or what I was pursuing or what God had called me to pursue. What I felt in my heart was to pursue my purpose, which for me, since I was really, I would say, born, has been the kingdom of God as far as church ministry, teaching, preaching, shepherding, leading, music, of course, all the usual suspects. When I don't live in my purpose, when I'm not acting out of those gifts and calling, then nothing works. My wife isn't inspired. My kids aren't inspired. My income goes down. My fitness goes down. Everything falls apart. Depression, anxiety, sadness, loneliness, isolation, all of that goes up because your purpose goes down. And this is not a midlife thing or an end of life thing. This is an all of life thing for men. Men are designed to pursue their purpose. That gives them respect. That gives them a sense of pride. That gives them a sense of provision. And when a man loses his purpose, he loses his way. And that's a sad man right there, walking through life. I have experienced that many times. Well, not many, but certainly 2 or 3 times in my life. I would say that I am in the middle of trying to recover and refine my purpose, fighting for my purpose, because I don't want to be now at this season of life wasting time. But it's happening to my son in his early 20s, trying to find his purpose after working so hard in college and work and school and all these things. It happens to family that I have in their 30s and 40s, where they're trying to figure out what to do after a job that went south or after kids. I think that specifically talking to men, we are designed to provide, to pursue, to live in our purpose. And let's say for me now, as an empty nester, you could call it, to not have little babies to provide for is very disorienting. I don't mean to change their diapers or feed them food, like actually feed them, but to build my kingdom for their sake. Because a man doesn't build a kingdom for himself. A man builds a kingdom for his tribe, for his loves, for his wife and his kids. That's why a man does everything he does as far as purpose. When God told Adam to go, it wasn't just for his sake. It was for the sake of Eve and his family. Multiply. So there's a sense of provision and of protection. Sense of purpose includes provision, includes protection. Protect who? Your tribe. Protect your home. Protect your wife. Protect your children. Protect your dog, your pet, your car, your body, everything that you own, that you possess, that God has given you. If you want your son to figure out life, encourage his purpose. Don't beat him up about the things that he shouldn't be doing. Yes, of course, we need to keep them away from evil. Fear the Lord and shun evil. Yes, shun evil, son. But remind him and cheer him in his purpose. What is that purpose? Who knows? Only that young man knows. And because it's God-given. And he may or may not know. He may be afraid of his purpose. He may not know. He may be discouraged. But when a young man, at any age, refines his purpose, relives in his purpose, it's fire. It's exciting, man. Do I have a thing here called fire? I don't think so. Clap, I guess. It's worth clapping for. There's nothing more sad, and I see and I meet a ton of men at all ages, but being that I'm at midlife, I see a lot of men in their 40s and 50s who look good on the outside but are sad puppies on the inside. They have those deep, sad eyes because they're no longer living in their purpose. They still have that job. They have that wife. Again, it's not about marriage or about kids. It's not about even fitness. All those things are a result of a lack of purpose, meaning if those things aren't good. But I meet a lot of men who have it all, but who have no purpose. Now, there are times when you have high purpose. At the beginning of life, you're wanting to climb that mountain. Maybe at the end of life, you want to have legacy. At midlife, yeah, tough. Maybe even at the beginning of life, you have just survival. That's your purpose. But certainly, yeah, midlife, early 20s, especially these days, maybe post empty nest or maybe end of life, kind of retirement season age, can be very depressing times for men. Now, I had my father-in-law, rest in peace, Dr. Dennis Baker, who I saw. He was probably the closest man to my life. My daddy, my papi, was in heaven by then. He died at age 57. Very sad to be without my father for most of my adult life. But my father-in-law was my mentor, and I saw him as a model of what a man should be like at the end of his life. He was a man who was leading, serving, caring for his wife, making tough decisions to move, to care, to shift career, money, to work with his daughters as far as financial stuff, to really put his hands in God's hands, in his own hands. He wasn't a man to say, "Oh, please help me." He was a man who carried his own weight till the very end, who was courageous. I once asked him, Dad, what is the greatest attribute? Love, peace, kindness? He said, courage. He said, that's the thing to ask for. And as I get older, yes, courage. It takes courage to get out of the slumps, depression, anxiety, loneliness, sadness, whether it's clinical like for me or whether it's just a passing thought maybe for you or a season. It takes courage to climb out of whatever situation you're in. And men, because we don't have a lot of social interactions, we don't have a lot of social currency, we have sports, we have our strength, we have to provide and to work and to protect. But as those things begin to fade, your physical strength, your mind, your body, your babies are gone, or maybe you never had a family, then loneliness and addictions to social media, to porn, to alcohol, to drugs, to the news. I mean, I think that politics has become the current AI of a lot of men, as well as OnlyFans and a lot of pornography. Christian, not Christian, doesn't matter. Young, old, that's a huge epidemic. I mean, it's $1 billion industry, trillion, and it's men who are not necessarily pigs. They're just men who are lonely. And the church, I don't know about the church. I don't think the church is good at this. I don't think the church even knows how to talk about this. When was the last time you heard your leader, pastor, small group director, facilitator talk about these topics? Maybe on men's night or on men's Sunday or something like that. And even then, you talk about sports and camping and barbecue, right? Sports. These are not things that the church talks about. I mean, the church is pretty bad at these topics. Anything really dealing with pain and suffering. Oh, a grief support class on Wednesday nights in the back of the church with 3 little old ladies. Okay, that's not what men are looking for. Men need solidarity, a war room. They need a band of brothers to unite with around these topics. Not just sports. Yes, that's fun too. I love sports and the Lakers and Dodgers. Go Dodgers. But I also want to talk about vulnerability and about loneliness and sex at midlife or at the end of life, or temptation, but most of all, even beyond all those things that are so easy to kind of the low-hanging fruit, purpose. I don't know if the question is how to regain your purpose. I think the question that I'm trying to answer is, now that I've lost my purpose, how do I remain in the game? How do I not lose my way? How do I find my way out through this season of low testosterone, low purpose, low energy? Women, I'm telling you, I don't know what it is. They have this thing about them that they just keep going. I don't know a lot of sad women. I know a lot of very crazy women, but I would say that women, it's their gift. They have this connection to spirit, to people. So therefore what? They outlive men, right? Men are the ones that die sooner of all kinds of horrible things. And, I mean, women remarry like no business, right? Nobody's business. Men, they get depressed and, I mean, yeah, they do get remarried and you could say they're promiscuous. But women are, my goodness, talking about promiscuity. But anyway, it's not about that. My point is what happens as a result of purposelessness and the tragedy that the church doesn't even talk about these topics ever, anywhere, for more than maybe a second or two, or maybe a line in a Facebook post or in an email. It's sad. It's a tragedy. And politics, Trump, and all this craziness has taken over a lot of Christian men and families. But men have replaced the Bible with MAGA hats. They have replaced prayer and supplication with protests and watching the news all day long. Women too, but I'm talking about men specifically. And anger has replaced love, and frustration has replaced grace. And division and hate or lying has replaced love. And I'm guilty of it. And I am talking about it because I don't want to be a purposeless man here at midlife in my 50s. I have my wife and kids that are still watching me, and a church and a ministry, and most of all me and God who created me that's watching me, that needs me. My therapist says, David, the church needs you, needs David, not David 2.0 or who you think you should be or any of that. You as you are. And I'm telling you, that's why I pay him so much money. To tell me something so simple that men don't hear enough from anyone. And then that's why there's so much depression and gambling and all the rest. Or men just simply live, what is it, Frank Same said, lives of quiet desperation. Men live lives of quiet desperation. And that's the truth. What's his name? Frank something, right? Frankel? I'm going to look it up here while I keep talking. And so what do we do, right? I'm not a 1, 2, 3 kind of outline guy. I'm more of a here's the news and here's the reality and let's come together. That's really my application. Let's just come together. I'm not a Jesus saves, God's good. Yes, of course he is, right? But I'm not a very practical guy. I am more of a here is the reality and now let's come together and let's talk about it. Let's do something about it. And someone who knows, here's the quote, the mass of men lead lives of quiet desperation. It says from Thoreau. Huh. Yeah. I don't know. I thought it was something Frankel. Wasn't it Frankel? I don't know what happened there. Frankel? Let me just type in Frankel. I thought it was Frankel. Maybe not. Frank, do you mean Viktor Frankl? Yes. Psychiatrist? Yes. Yes, quite yes. Frankl believed that people can endure, if so that connects powerfully to what you said. Yes. When a man can't find a deep sense of meaning, he distracts himself with pleasure. Yeah, so that's what I was thinking of. Viktor Frankl. In the book, Man's Search for Meaning. Holocaust survivor. So yeah, how do you survive the Holocaust of loneliness? Oh, yeah. Speaking of mosquitoes, I hate those mosquitoes. I think I maybe at least scared them away. I would say the church, community, conversation, love, hugs, support. Tell me you love me. Tell me that I'm not irrelevant. Give me a place to serve. Believe in me. Tell me that you love me. Tell me that I'm not old and ugly, even though I know I am. Tell me that I can still make a difference. Give me opportunities to serve, to share my story, online, media. Give me something to do that's meaningful. Put me to work. I mean, that's what men want. They want support when they have to go to the doctor with their issues of prostate this and bladder that and knee problems and all the rest. Hair loss and fatness and gray hairs. I mean, these are the things, excuse me, that men deal with. Again, I'm not saying that women don't have their own journey, of course, but I'm just talking to men. What do men want? What makes a man truly happy? Now, here's the bad news. A man might never be happy again once he's past a certain season of life. And now, as I said earlier, he's like I am. He's now managing pain. He's now trying to, like David says, though I walk through the valley, I will fear no evil. And that's, I think, part of what the hard truth is. A man may never be happy again like he was in his 20s and 30s when he was still climbing and trying to get to the castle and providing for his wife and kids, because that season has come and gone. And now he is managing pain management, and trying to find God in the valley of the shadow of death. And fear no evil, for thou art with me. And so I think that's the necessary balance to all this, because to promise that a man will find happiness again, I think is not true. I think it's a farce. It's false. It's a lie. I think what we can truly tell men is that you can find God, maybe more than happiness. You can find faith instead of purpose. And I'm telling you, these are hard things for me to say because I'm in the middle of this. But I have a hunch that I don't know if I'm going to find purpose once again the way that I once had, but I think I may need to find God and faith in this second half of my life. Community, friendship, community, love, friendship, support. That's what, when the Bible says that he is in the valley of the shadow of death, I will fear no evil, for you are with me. Well, what does you are with me mean? Was God physically going to come and fix my car with me? No. It means friendships. It means presence. It means purpose. It means, but different kind of purpose. It means all the things I've said. That's how a man can get through the valley of shadow of death. Now, the other choice is death, indeed. And that's what a lot of men do, physically, emotionally, spiritually. And that's not what God wants. That's what the devil wants. So you have to be very aware as a man of the danger of death, of the reality of destroying your life emotionally, physically, etc., and to make sure that you don't fall for the trap, the devil's liar. Because that's what he wants, to destroy, kill, steal, destroy your life, physically, emotionally, spiritually. And we can't let him. We can't let him win. You can't win, Satan. You will not win. God will not let us fall. So my contribution to this problem is to talk about it, to be open, vulnerable, and to offer my condolences, my time, my strength, my love, my journey. I'm to walk with you. I'll close with this. About a month ago or so, I met a man in his 60s who's been dealing with similar stuff. And we talked about music for 10 minutes, 15 minutes. We may never see each other again. We might see each other next week. I don't know. But for those 10, 15 minutes, we shared life, and we felt like we weren't alone in the valley of shadow of death. Didn't fix anything. I didn't change his life. I didn't change my life. We exchanged a couple of songs, and we shared a beautiful moment together. And for that day, for that hour, we both felt okay. And I think that's a gift from God. And maybe that's what we need to just be praying for and seeking for. I don't mean to sound pessimistic here. Maybe I do sound like that, but I'm just talking real. Now, if you're a young man, you got to still climb that ladder, young man. If you're in your 30s and 40s, you got to still pursue greatness. I mean, I was pursuing greatness up until, I would say, my late 40s, early 50s. But at some point, and maybe it's just where I'm at, a man has to transition to a different kind of living. And I think that's what's happening to me and perhaps to you. So that's it for now. I hope that this is, I don't know if about encouraging, but it's definitely sobering and maybe something to think about. And I can be someone to talk to. You can email me, trig@davidtrig.com. Text me, look for me online anywhere. Thank you so much for being here, and I'll see you next time. Adios.